His inability to lose an argument without his temper going as well, and most of all the fact that he seemed to make people turn against him. Better send the motorboat then. He waited, seeing Tyson's frown growing. Well? It's a woman, sir. Sheridan dropped his legs and walked to a scuttle. Is it, by God? Yes, a Mrs. Kemp from the Ministry of Information. Sheridan shaded his eyes against the glare. Mrs., eh? Still, I don't think it's right to allow women aboard. Not in wartime. Sheridan regarded him sadly. You wouldn't. He said, You've a lot to learn, sub. Now whistle up the boat before the coxswain succumbs to his rum ration. He walked to the pantry hatch. Get some fresh glasses, Napier. I might want some sandwiches, too. The face in the pantry hatch was expressionless. Well past time, sir. I've washed up all the lunch crocks. Relax, Napier. I'll take the responsibility. Sheridan walked to a mirror and straightened his tie. These 4 days had given him an even better idea of what a command could be like. Dealing with visitors from the shipyard or naval stores, entertaining other officers who, like himself, had been left stranded by their captains for various reasons. He had even been in Drummond's day cabin to check the mail and the daily flow of signals. It was childish, and he knew he should have known better. He heard the motorboat spluttering away from the side, and wondered what this Mrs. Kemp would be like. Probably an intense investigator gathering more information about the war at sea. He would have to put her off, unless her authority forced a decision on him. He recalled the excitement when they had entered harbour, the awe on the faces of the working party which had been sent to offload their strange capture. As it had been swayed out to waiting transport, he had seen the dead German staring out of his little cockpit, as if he too was amazed at all the fuss. But after taking on oil, Warlock had moved out to her buoy again, and had remained there. All her officers and ship's company, apart from the usual handful, were ashore, and this unexpected visitor might help, if only in part, to explain their isolation from outside events. He heard more feet overhead, and guessed that the quartermaster had roused himself to welcome the returning boat. Sheridan picked up his cap and ran quickly up the ladder and into the bright sunlight. The motorboat was already lurching against the gangway, the bowman's face flushed as he made 2 attempts at hooking on. Then he saw the visitor, the respectful way the motorboat's coxswain helped her onto the short ladder, his eyes never leaving her legs. She was wearing a plain blue dress which left her arms completely bare, and carried only a small bag and what looked like a camera. The latter was interesting, he thought. She must have a lot of pull to be allowed to bring it into a restricted anchorage. He forgot all about the camera as she reached the deck and stood looking around her, as if searching for something familiar. I'm David Sheridan. He held out his hand. I don't know why you're here, but it's good to see you. She smiled at him. Her mouth was the only part of her face which moved, for her eyes were completely hidden by a pair of dark sunglasses. She had a good handshake, but her skin was hot and moist, and for that brief moment he imagined the blue dress clinging to the supple body underneath. She asked calmly, Do you approve? Sorry, he grinned. I'm a bit out of practice. I can imagine. She brushed some of the hair from her forehead. It was the colour of polished chestnut. She added, You're the first lieutenant. How did you know that? He did not really care, and was glad of the chance to make up for the first opening. I know everything. Her mouth lifted slightly. It was moist, and he could see tiny droplets of perspiration below her hairline. Well, come below and have a drink, or something. She tilted the glasses down her nose just long enough for him to see her eyes. They were dark brown. She grimaced. I'll take the drink, if there's a choice. In the wardroom, Sheridan was relieved to see that Napier had arranged some clean glasses on a tray, and some small, neatly cut sandwiches were close by. Gin and? He watched her as she moved slowly around the wardroom. She had a perfect figure, and he liked the way she reached out to touch things, like a child. Anything. She turned and removed the glasses.